a seeker went to Bhagwan Buddha and said, my battery had run out, and said, I want happiness. Bhagwan Buddha said, remove I, because I represents your ego. Then remove want. Want represents your desire. So once ego and desire is removed, whatever is left is happiness. We all seek happiness throughout life. And what hinders? We are the biggest hindrance to attain happiness. Now, what is ego is not your true self. Ego is part of your personality. Ego is a very prominent and dominant part of your personality. Now, ego is your shadow of the real self. You cannot get rid of your shadow. Shadow is always with you. Wherever you go, you carry your shadow with you. But then, in the light of awareness, that shadow is no more visible. Shadow is no more there. If your room is very properly lighted, there wouldn't be any shadow of yours. That's why in photography, a good photographer would put the lights in such an angle that there is no shadow, even on the face or anywhere else. That is all. Photography is all about that, angles, lighting angles. Similarly, the light of awareness. If there is a light of awareness, then there is no shadow of real self. Then there is no ego. So both of them cannot coexist. Ego is unawareness. Ego is unawareness. So if you are in awareness, that means you know there is a devil, there is a beast called ego over here. You know that. You can see that. So you don't even know that there is an enemy inside you, and that enemy is your ego. When we say, oh, this is his nature, we often come across this word, nature. Nature would generally mean that constituent of 5 elements, air, fire, earth, water, and sky, plus something more, plus antahkaran, which we call it conscience. Antahkaran, okay. Now, antahkaran has 4 components: man, buddhi, chitta, ahankar. So, man is your conscious mind, which is very small. Man is conscious mind, which is about, say, 10% of the total mind, Buddhi is intellect. Buddhi is something which controls the mind. Above mind is buddhi. Buddhi controls the mind. So, and then there is chit. Chit is the subconscious mind, which is 90% of the mind, the real mind. Right now, when you're listening to me, who's listening? Your conscious mind is listening. Who is listening? Conscious mind is listening. Now, if you want to change in life, how will you change? Through your conscious mind? No. It is the subconscious mind which will create a change in you. This is very amazing. So, who's listening right now to me? The conscious mind. But who will remove that ego in you? The subconscious mind. And subconscious mind is not listening. He is sleeping right now. So your subconscious mind is sleeping right now. When will subconscious mind awaken? When you sleep, then subconscious mind awakens. And subconscious mind has the power to change you. Subconscious mind does not even know what did I speak. It does not even, because your conscious mind and subconscious mind, they are two separate. The whole day when you're operating in office or home or wherever, or you're writing an exam, it is your conscious mind. But the miracles, the bigger powers which you have, the thought process, that personality which you get is because of the subconscious mind. So we'll come to it, how to impact your ego through the subconscious mind. And the last component of the four, mana, buddhi, chitta, ahankar, ego. So man is conscious mind, buddhi is intellect, chit is subconscious mind, and ahankar is ego. So ahankar is part of your personality. It's part of your personality. Whether it is good or bad is a separate thing, but it's part of your personality. Ego is like a double-edged sword. You've seen a sword. Normally a sword cuts only on one side, the outer side, when you attack somebody. No, but ego is a double-edged sword, even more dangerous than a normal sword. It's a double-edged sword. And the outer side of the sword cuts your popularity. Your ego is a double-edged sword where the outer side of the sword will cut your popularity. Your ego is cutting your popularity, outer edge. And the inner edge of the sword cuts your purity. So you can imagine how deadly is ego. When there is ego in you and you are not aware of it, it is harming you in two ways. You're getting unpopular in people, in your family, in your office, in your friends, everywhere. They may not speak in front of you, but behind you, oh, he's like that, he's like that, he's like that. So ego cuts two ways. It's a double-edged sword. Remember this. Even if you forget everything, just remember this. Ego is a double-edged sword. Just get it ingrained in your mind. So this will help you. Ego is a double-edged sword. The outer side of the sword cuts your personality, your popularity, and your inner side cuts your purity. Whatever divinity, purity is there in you, that purity, so it cuts that. All the good qualities, all the good achievements, whatever you have got in life, through hard work, through studies, through so much, becomes non-functional only because of your ego. It's like something, you have a very big treasure with you, but you don't have the key to it. So you have seen people who are very, good in their mark sheet, who are in a good position, who have got good status in life and all that, and still they got stuck at a particular position. You've seen many people like that in life, that somebody is stuck at some level for last 20 years or whatever. Primarily the reason is ego. Till you don't dissolve your ego, you can't grow. You are stuck. You be thankful to God that you have not fallen down. Now, we must know how to handle our ego. The ego, acronym ego, ejects growth opportunities. EGO, ejects growth opportunities. Now, and if you handle ego properly, then it enhances gainful occurrences, EGO. So what do you want? You want to enhance gainful occurrences, EGO, or you want to have which ejects growth opportunities. So there are both the acronyms are correct. Now, which one should apply to you? That you have to find out. If you know how to handle ego, then it will enhance gainful occurrences in your life. If you don't know how to handle your ego, then it will eject growth opportunity in your life. So EGO, in either case, both the definitions are correct. So now it depends on you, which one you want to take up with. When it comes to spiritualism, then if you don't handle ego properly, what happens? It estranges God out. God is out of your system. God is dormant in you. God is no more with you. And if you know how to handle your ego, then eases God oneness. So same EGO, estranges God out, eases God oneness. EGO. Now, which one do you want? You want to estrange God out, or you want to ease God oneness? Obviously, we want God oneness. And that can only happen if you dissolve your ego. You cannot, I will maintain my ego and I will have presence of God in my life. That cannot happen. That cannot happen. The two cannot coexist. When ego purges, God emerges. When ego purges, God emerges. Quite significant in life. Very significant in life. So purge your ego, let God emerge in you. In the game of ego, if you are a loser, in the game of ego, there's an ego battle between me and somebody else. And if I'm a loser in that battle, then really I'm the winner. In the battle of ego, if you are the loser, then in reality you are the winner. Then in reality you are the winner. If you think you will win the ego battle and you win the ego battle, then you are the loser. So always be a loser in an ego battle. Always be a loser. You will progress in life. With anybody you have an ego fight, why should I do it? The other person says, no, why should I do it? You do it. Lower your ego. That's it. Be a loser. Let him say, oh, you lost, I won. Say, yes, you won, I lost. That's fine. But you are ascending, he is declining. So, in the battle of ego, if you are a loser, in reality, you are a winner. Remember this. Don't hold on to your ego. No matter who's in front of you. The other person could be your child, the other person could be your chauffeur, other person could be your cook, he could be your sweeper, he could be anybody. Be a loser in the battle of ego. Now, you will see people who are egoistic, they need a lot of attention. They want a lot of attention in life. Haven't you come across people? Some people who come to party and all, they want a lot of attention. So it is not something else, it is their ego. And if you don't give them attention, they feel hurt. If you don't recognize them, you don't call out their name, they might feel hurt. No, this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. But then our personality is like that. You're getting hurt for no reason. You went to a party, you had a good food, everything was good, but you are not happy. No, what is that? It's your ego. You want attention. He did not call out my name 5 times. He did not serve me. Don't focus on these petty, tiny matters. And egoist people have one more quality, which is another wonderful. They will talk about themselves all the time. They will talk about themselves all the time. Egoist people, they will only talk about themselves. They won't talk about others. You know, when I went there, I did this. Then when I went there, then I bought this. I did this shop. What? I mean, he will talk about himself. So there are two problems with egoist people. They want attention, and if there is any deficit in attention, that will make them upset. Attention, that too, more than others. If I give more attention to X, I'm giving attention to X and Y, but I'm giving more to X, Y will get offended. Now this, I mean, how do you grow in life? You're stuck with these silly things. And egoist people only talk about themselves. They won't talk about others. In entirety. That is one of the ways of ego management. Egoist people will not listen to others. First, listen to me. First, okay. I know what you want to say. I know what you want to say. You listen to me. I know what you want to say. You know everything. Once you get into the habit of listening to others, a lot of problems will dissolve. So, she's right. So that is one of the solutions. So how do you change? How do you handle your ego? Listen to others. Listen more to others. Give them a chance to express their opinion. Egoist people will take everything personally. Those who have ego, they will take everything personally. If you are speaking to a group of people, they will think, oh, this was meant for me. This example was given for me. And even if it is given for you, why do you have to get hurt about it? Why do you have to get bothered about it? They take everything personally. You are not so important that, I mean, the other person is talking about something. You think you are the most important person on earth. Everybody is only, when they talk, they only mean you. Are you that important? I know in the office when they were having a meeting, they were talking about me. I know, they only talk about me. Why do you assume yourself larger than life? And honestly speaking, if they talk about you, you should be lucky. You should be happy about it. You are still in currency. When people talk about you, you are relevant. There will be a time when they will not talk about you. You're forgotten altogether. So when people talk about you, people criticize you, be happy about it. This is a very, very, I mean, you are lucky that people talk about you and they criticize. The most successful people will be criticized the most. This is the rule of life. Who's criticized the most in India? Narendra Modi, because he is the most successful person. Every TV channel is criticizing him. Every newspaper is criticizing him. Every reporter is criticizing him because he's the most successful. Nobody will criticize me because I'm nobody. So once you become somebody, people will criticize. So criticism is very positive. Take it positively. Feel happy about it. Oh, so in the meeting, how many people were criticizing? 5. Only 5. Oh my God, I'm not so popular. I have to increase my popularity rating. So criticism is something very positive. Take it positively. If people talk about you, criticize about you, write articles about you, feel happy about it, that, oh, wonderful. You see, in Bollywood and in politics, they give money to reporters to plant a news. You know it? They give money to the reporters that write some stories about me. So before release of a movie, there'll be a story in the newspaper that so-and-so actor is going around with so-and-so actresses and so-and-so affair and this and all fake, all bogus. Those are planted stories. And there'll be some criticism. Oh, he lost his he slapped his driver, and all these bogus things will be written just to give news, just to create awareness about him in the market. So criticism is always not negative, it's more positive. If you're popular, you will be criticized. If you want to be successful, feel happy that you came on page one in the newspaper. Egoist people will seldom forgive others. They don't forgive. They keep that, that scar, that grudge within themselves. They will not easily forgive others. So learn to forgive. If something has happened, then and there, just get rid of it. In one of the scriptures, Tulsidas ji writes, that is about anger. The same thing can be applied over here. That great people, they have an anger which is like a line drawn on the water. When you draw a line on the water, what happens? Within few seconds, again the water is back to normal. So that is how the anger of great people is. They are momentarily they are angry and then they are out of it. Anger of a normal person is like line drawn on the sand. When you draw a line on the sand, what happens? That line would remain unless until when there's a wind is blowing, then again that line will get blurred. It will no more be there. An anger of not so successful people, anger of people who are not so evolved. How's their anger? It's mark on a stone. It will remain forever. You see, that time you remember in 2019, what you did with me? So you will carry that. That's a mark on the stone. Great people they get angry momentarily, mark on water. Normal people mark on sand. And people who are not evolved mark on stone. So you choose. Which aspect can you relate to? Learn to let go everything. Let go, let go, let go. So once you let go everything, that's it. Every day is a new day. Forget it, whatever has happened. Ego has 2 children. Son of ego is fear. Egoist people are always fearful. They look very strong, but inside them, they are very fearful. This sounds very contradictory, but this is the truth. Egoist people are very fearful inside. The son of ego is fear, and the daughter of ego is jealousy. Ego is your individuality, your identity. Ego is your identity. Ego is your I-ness, I. Everywhere you relate that I, Now, an ego would always look for recognition outside. Outside recognition is always looking, he's always looking for outside recognition. Now, you identify always with your house, with your position, my house. my house, my car. So that I, my. So when you attach this, that, your own identification, that is ego. You will see, so my qualification, I am an MBA. So that sense of ego comes over there. So this I-ness, when you attach to anything, it becomes ego. That's why you would see some people, they don't use the word I too much in their conversation. They will paraphrase their sentence in such a way, the usage of I is the least. So either they would say we or all of us, something like that. They won't say I. And one more thing about ego will not let you say sorry. Ego will not let you say sorry. Even if you are wrong, ego will stop you. Why should you say sorry? It's okay, the matter is over. It's okay. Why should you say sorry? Ego will not let you say sorry. Ego will stop you, resist you. Ego will play mental games with you. Ego will not let you admit your mistakes. You have scolded your staff in the office, and then after 1 hour you realize that it was not his fault. It was not his fault. But ego will not let you say sorry, or ego will not let you admit your mistake. You won't call that staff and tell him, listen, I told you something, I'm sorry about it. You really need a lot of guts, a lot of strength, lot of power, lot of, that internal strength to say sorry. Saying sorry is a test of your personality. How strong you are if you can easily say sorry. And when you say sorry, when you say sorry, you feel sorry. You feel sorry and you feel really pained about it. And you are expressing your regret. That is your strength. It's not your weakness. When you say sorry, you get few notches higher in life. Each time you say sorry, you get few notches higher. And especially when you say sorry to somebody who's very weak. Somebody, you have boarded a taxi. For some reason, you misbehaved with the driver of the taxi. While getting down, if you have the strength, tell him sorry. If you have the guts. If you can do that, you're evolving. You're improving. It requires a lot of strength to say sorry, especially to people. See, those who are stronger than you, it might be easier to say sorry to them. But somebody who's very weak, who doesn't have a voice in society, and if you can say sorry to them, that is the test of your personality. You see, small kids, very small kids, they don't have ego. But as they grow, they get that identity of I-ness. And slowly, parents teach them ego. No, this is your book. This is your toy. So they start giving that identity to the child. And child starts growing. You've seen a small child, you scold him, you say something, he'll get angry with you. After 2 minutes, you tell him, do you want to have ice cream? He will say yes. He is not bothered. But if to a grown-up person, you scold him and then after 2 minutes, he says, will you have ice cream? He says, shut up, get lost, eat your bloody ice cream. So you cannot, you try it on a grown-up person, he will get aggravated more. Now, what do you think of yourself? So the child doesn't have ego. Child feel happy and he forgets everything because his anger is like mark on the water. You tell him you want to have ice cream and he's happy and then he becomes your best friend. But that doesn't hold true for a person who's egoist. Your maturity is more you mature in life, more you bow in life. That's maturity. Maturity means what? What do you mean actually by maturity? When people say he's very matured, what does it mean? He's dissolving his ego. He knows how to bow down. If you don't bow down often, your spinal will become rigid and you will have spinal problem. Trust me. In yoga, all the exercises are forward bending, side bending, backward bending, this bending, so that spinal. So they teach you how to bow, 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 bow all the time. Yoga is all about bowing down. All the time you are bending. You're bending. You're bending. So you've seen a mango tree. When the tree is laden with lots of fruit, what happens? It bows down. It bends down. So if you're really matured, you will become humble. You will bow. And then you don't bow only in front of people stronger than you. You bow in front of everybody because that's your personality. You don't have two sets of behavior. You have only one set of behavior, and that is for everybody. With the guest, I will behave like this. With my spouse, I will behave like this. With with my students, I'll behave like this. No, there's only one set of behavior for matured people. Now, ego is something which is non-existent. It's a mental creation. It's a fiction. It's hypocritical. It's hypocritical. It's artificial. It's something which is superficial. It is something which is prejudicial. So ego is a creation of your mind. You have created ego inside your mind. You have created a beast inside your mind. And that beast is ego. It's not the real self. And you are feeding it every day. I'm right. I told that person, I'm right. You are feeding your ego. You're even, making it grow. You take pride and come back home and tell stories. So and so happened, and I told him like this, and I told him, no, I cannot take nonsense. This, that. So you're feeding your ego all the time. Now, once you made a mistake, good. Now, don't feed your ego. Don't make it grow further. So don't feed your ego. You can feed humility. You can feed love. But don't feed ego and arrogance and anger. Don't feed that. Because there are two animals inside you. All the negativity, ego, arrogance, anger. The other animal is love, humility, and all the good quality. So whom are you feeding? It's your choice. Whom are you feeding every day? Both of them require food to survive. So whom are you giving food? You're giving food to love, love will grow in life. You're giving food to ego, ego will grow in life. So whom are you feeding? First is, some people have a guru, some people have a mentor in their life. Because ego is like a blind spot. You don't know. You don't know ego, what you have, is not visible to you. You can't see your own ego. But others can see in your ego. If you ask your spouse, tell me 10 bad things about me, he or she will recite that in 1 minute. In 1 minute, she'll tell you 10 points immediately. And if I ask you, tell me 10 points about you, bad points about you, you may not even be able to do it in one whole day. I really can't think of it. I don't think I have. But ask your spouse. She'll narrate in 1 minute. Oh, this. Why 10? I can tell you 20. So ego problem is, it's not visible to you. You're blind to it. But your guru can see. Your mentor can see. It's a blind spot. Before understanding how to cure ego, one more concept is there. Something called authenticity. Now, what is authenticity? You think about yourself that I'm so and so, I'm like so and so. So many people know me in society, and I mean, you have certain, picture of yourself. You have drawn a certain picture of yourself that I'm like so and so. What will people think of me? What will people think of me? They don't have time to think for you, by the way. They don't have time at all. They are so busy in their credit card bills, they don't have time for you. So you have made a picture of yourself. So you have a certain picture of yourself. Now people have made a certain picture of you. Rajrishi thinks I'm like this, I'm like this, I'm like this, I'm like this. People think Rajrishi is like this, like this, like this, like this. They have also drawn a picture of you, about you. And you have also drawn a picture about yourself. And there is a third picture, which is the real picture. SLR camera has taken a picture of you, which is the real picture. So there are three pictures. The one is the real picture of you. This is very important. Authenticity, I'm trying to explain. You made certain picture of yourself. I'm like this. This is me. Wonderful. People think, oh, this is Rajrishi. He is like this, he's like this, he's like this. They have made a picture of you. You have made a picture of yourself. And there's a real picture. Now, whatever is common in all the three, that is authenticity. That is authenticity. Whatever you think of yourself, whatever is your picture as per you, minus authenticity, is your ego. Now, if you are in awareness, then only you will able to find out authenticity. If you are not in awareness, if you don't do that exercise, you don't take a step back in life and think, oh, this is what people think of me. Okay, this is what I had my own feeling, and probably this is the reality. So you have to have that time for yourself. You have to do that meditation where you find your authentic self. Only in meditation you can see the authentic self. And that authenticity must be known to you. Whatever achievements you're talking about, whatever things. Steve Jobs used to do one exercise, which is very relevant how to manage your ego. Steve Jobs used to, every day when he used to go to the bathroom, he would stand in front of the mirror and say that I have now one day less in my life. He would repeat that statement in front of the mirror. Because your date of death is fixed. You are going to die on a particular day. You will die. Nobody is immortal here. Everybody will die. So your date of death is fixed. So when you go to the bathroom and you look at the mirror, you can do this exercise for 30 seconds every day. You can also do this. If Steve Jobs can do, why can't we do? You can see yourself in the mirror and say, I have one day less in my life now.
How will this help?
This will reduce your ego. Because the biggest deterrent to ego is death. You see, however big champion you are in, you are scared of death. So death is that far. Now death has come one day closer. Death has come even closer. Death has come. Death is at the door. You will become the nicest person. If somebody tells you you will die next week, those 7 days you will become the finest human being on earth. Just because you think you will not die, my neighbor will die, this person will die, everybody will die. I will not die. I will not die. The biggest pretension is this. So you can do also this. This takes only 30 seconds. This is a very powerful exercise. When you go to the bathroom, look yourself in the mirror, look eye to eye in the mirror and say to yourself, I have 1 day less in life. Repeat it few times. It won't even take you 30 seconds. Because somewhere that will set in. Be a witness in your life. Be a watcher. When you watch, you are watching yourself all the time. You're watching yourself all the time. So once you are a watcher, you are in witness consciousness. You are in witness consciousness. Sakshi Bhav. So once you remain in Sakshi Bhav, you may not remain 24/7 Sakshi Bhav. Remain for 5 minutes, remain for 10 minutes, remain for few hours, as long as you can. If you are in that Sakshi Bhav, your ego will dissolve. Your ego will dissolve. Because the truth of the life is, what is truth of the life? You will come to know what is the truth of life. And once you know the truth, ego drops. Ego is a false identity. Truth, you have made it blur. So once you clean the mirror, everything is transparent, it will drop. So truth. So witness consciousness will make you see the truth in you. Another way to get rid of ego is that karta bhav. Don't take ownership of whatever is done in life. I have done it. I have done it. I have achieved it. Don't take ownership of all that. That karta bhav is very dangerous. You know, I solved that problem in the office. If I wouldn't have gone, that problem wouldn't have been solved. No. Nothing stops in life for anybody. There have been many more important people before you. So company will survive. Don't think you are indispensable. That very thought is very damaging to yourself. So be out of that karta bhav. All the great people, they always say that I'm a medium. I'm just a medium. I'm just a medium. I'm not the doer. I'm not the doer. I'm not the doer. Another one is look at the tip of the nose. Every day, do this exercise for 5 minutes. And you can do it anytime. You can do it in your car. You can do it in your office. You can do it in the home, on your dining table, wherever. You can do it. So at least 5 minutes, keep looking at the tip of the nose without blinking your eyes. It will solve your anger, stress, and many other things, including ego. Including ego. I was reading one of the books quite some time ago, and there it was said that ego resides in your throat. That was quite new for me, quite wonderful for me. So throat chakra is responsible for your ego. So you should do meditation on the throat chakra. Around the throat, all around 360-degree around the throat and inside the throat. Take your awareness inside the throat, take your awareness all around the throat. That will help you to manage your ego, subside your ego, dilute your ego. Pranayam can help you to lower your ego. Kapalbhati will certainly help you to lower your ego. If you are doing Kapalbhati, you will dilute your ego. Keep doing. It's not, if you've been doing it persistently, it will happen. I have a cousin who is a head of a yoga center, world famous yoga center. He has so many things to his credit. He was a karate champion. He is rather. He is a yoga teacher to so many celebrities in Bollywood, so many powerful personalities like DIG and many other powerful people in the society. He's a yoga teacher. But I've never come across a person more humble than him. And he has never spoken even once that he's teaching so-and-so Bollywood celebrity. He's never told me, but I know. I come to know from various sources. People tell me, but he's never told me. He won't tell me that, Bhaiya, I'm just returning. I was with so-and-so Bollywood actress and now I'm back. No, he wouldn't. So look at that. And he recommends Kapalbhati. He does it also both the time. So I have seen a live example in life. So that's why I'm recommending Kapalbhati to you all. Do this. Kapalbhati will take care of 50 to 60 diseases plus your ego dissolution. So do Kapalbhati. Another one is gratitude. This is very, very important. Catherine was speaking yesterday that she attended one gratitude meditation. Now, first of all, let us understand what is gratitude. Let us understand what is gratitude. We have understood authenticity. You all have understood. If you have doubt in question and answer, we will discuss that. Give you something, you tell me thank you. That part is very clear. That is thankfulness. In few cultures, they have, you do something small for somebody, say, oh, thank you, thanks. But same thankfulness, you don't practice with your domestic help. If she is giving you a glass of water, then probably you may not say thank you. So even in thankfulness, you are selective. So anyway, let's go further. Now, what is gratefulness? Is it same as thankfulness? No, it is not same. People in the Western world think thankfulness and gratefulness are same thing. No, it is not same at all. There's a world of difference in the two concepts. There's a world of difference. Okay? Thankfulness is very easy. You have understood. Your pen has fallen on the ground. I pick it up and give it to Rajrishi. Thank you, Bhaiya. He says. Thankfulness. So we understand. Bit of artificial mannerism may be there, but anyway, that is thankfulness. When we invite a Brahmin in our home, what do? We call him, we give him the best of food. And after the food, what do? We give him gift. Why do we give him gift? Why do we give him money? Why? Gratefulness. Sir, you accepted my invitation. You came to my home and ate food. I'm grateful to you. He could have refused. He could have said, sorry, I don't want to come. I'm busy. I have to watch a 2020 match. I cannot come. Who will feel offended? You or him? You. He saved you from being offended. Be grateful to him. So from today, never take pride when you give something to somebody. I gave that fellow, I was distributing 500 rupee note among those poor people. Don't take pride. Don't take pride. You'll be hurt so badly. This happened to me once. I realized this. I was in Puri temple. That was many, many years ago. That time I did not even have so much of mental maturity also. One monk came, a white clothed monk, and he asked for some money. And I was in two minds, honestly, I was in two minds whether to give or not to give. And that fraction of a second probably took me 10 seconds to think I should give, I should not give. Okay. And that fellow could read my mind possibly. And he walked away. He did not insist further that I should give him. He just asked once that give some money. And I was thinking within myself whether I should give or I should not give. This is a 20, 30-year-old incident. I can't get over this even today. That incident jolted me from within. And then he walked off. Then after a few minutes, I realized that I should have given him. So I went around the temple, looked for him, and I saw him sitting somewhere. And I went to him and I took out the money. I said, yes, sir, take it. He said, sorry, I don't want. He refused. I begged him that please take it. He refused. He said, sorry, I don't want. I felt humiliated. My ego was hurt. And people were watching me and all that happened. I kept on begging him, please take it. I'm sorry. He said, sorry, I don't want from you. I will beg from anybody else, but I will not take money. So from today, you know what is gratefulness. Gratefulness is not equal to thankfulness. Okay? In the Western world, gratefulness and thankfulness is same. Catherine was telling me she did that gratitude meditation where you say you're grateful to water because water gives you bath, water quenches your thirst and all that. Which is a right thing. There's nothing wrong with that kind of thinking. But in the East, we don't have a concept of this gratefulness to water. Why? Because we worship water. Varun is the god of water. We pray, any prayer we hold at home, we have to worship Varun. So gratefulness, you're reducing one level down. So where is the question of gratefulness to water? There's no question. You're worshipping. You worship. You remember when any puja you have at home, you have a kalash and you put water in the kalash. You do the kalash puja. Kalash puja is what? You're worshipping water. Kalash puja is you're worshipping water. Grateful to trees. Our Rigved says you have to pray. You have to worship trees. Gratefulness is not above worshipping. Gratefulness is something below worshipping. So you have to worship them. So anyway, you have understood the concept of gratefulness. So worshipping, gratefulness, thankfulness, all the three concepts, keep it together. So you will be able to understand. Gratefulness, thankfulness, and worshipping. Three are together. And when you do charity, it is your good fortune. You are not helping others, you are helping yourself. Another way to handle your ego is, I told you that you should do a meditation on your throat chakra. So how to do on throat chakra, we won't discuss that part. There's a particular way of doing it. You have to visualize that blue color and all that. So we'll not discuss. That's a long topic by itself. So these are the few ways to handle your ego. At the end, I would like to say that it's not your choice that you want to manage ego or you don't want to manage ego. It's something like you want to grow in life or you don't want to grow in life. It's something like you want to attain God in life or you don't want to attain God in life. So when you say, I will manage or I will not manage, is something like that. You have no choice. If you want to ascend in life, no, only when you descend in ego, you will ascend in life.